thought I would make a YouTube video on some of the Streptocarpus, also known as Cape Primrose. For I had these plants all out for a TikTok video I just made, so I figured I would also just put the same general information into a YouTube video. So Streptocarpus is usually the term when you're like crossing Streptocarpus to get specific varieties. And if it's just a general term for this kind of plant, then people tend to use Cape Primrose. So if you see these in a garden center, they probably aren't these kind of fancy versions. But these are all grown from seeds. But I have a lot of purple and white ones, and I threw in a few other colors, but some of these look like petunias, pretty good sized blooms. This isn't anything particularly spectacular right there, but it looks nice, so I may keep it around. These are a little bit more interesting with the ruffled edges and the coloration patterns. This one here is like a favorite of mine. Has a very cool, like stained glass looking pattern. Lots of blooms. It does seem to have a little trouble holding those blooms up, but we'll see how that goes along. This one here is one that just bloomed. It's like a pink with a yellow throat on the inside there. Not sure if I'll keep that or not, but we'll see how it goes. This one here just happened to bloom yesterday. It's like an upward facing Streptocarpus, which is kind of uncommon. This one here, if this just had like one bloom or two or three maybe at one time, it probably wouldn't be that interesting, but because it seems to bloom in large flushes, this is a pretty small plant, but once it gets, if you put it in a bigger pot, this would be pretty spectacular to have like 100 blooms happening at one time. This here, huge blooms. It's actually pinker than it looks in this video. Those have pretty strong, solid, tall stems. It kind of reminds me of an orchid, but these flowers are really big. So I'm taking seeds from that. Those are the future seed pods right there that have been pollinated. This is a fantasy type Streptocarpus, so it has like the broken pattern in the blooms there. This one really looks like a petunia to me. If there was a petunia that had a fantasy pattern, which I don't think many do. This one here, which is actually pretty purple, but it looks blue in here. I kept this one initially because it has like a wavy thing happening on the leaves, which is an interesting trait. We'll see if that hangs around in the long term. But it sort of looks like these are kind of lit from inside on those blooms, but imagine it very purple instead of what looks like kind of bluish purple here. This is a huge red flowering Streptocarpus. I mean, this is even redder looking in person than it looks like on here. If you can isolate one of these blooms and compared to my hand, it's like, I don't know, 3.5 inches across there. So that's going to be definitely a keeper for me because I was looking for something besides, which is a lot of these blue and purple looking ones. This one here I think was made from a cross with Falling Stars, which is like a Dibley UK British Streptocarpus variety, and they're pretty common. They have like a lot of simple looking blooms, but there's a lot of them in masses, which makes them kind of interesting. I also planted some gloxinias from seeds, and here's another one, but this one's like a speckled one. These are pretty cool. The blooms can be pretty large. These are on the small side, actually. This is almost full size, but these gloxinias have been blooming pretty much nonstop for me since I grew them for like a couple months, and I'd only heard that they just kind of had like one bloom season that maybe lasts a couple weeks, and then then you have to wait another year. But they've just been blooming nonstop for me, so I don't know what is up with that. This one here is not anything particularly earth-shattering in terms of what the flowers look like, but because they're upward-facing, trumpet-looking flowers, it's very different. Usually when you see Streptocarpus, their blooms are sort of like facing horizontally outward. And because these are facing upward, that's an interesting trait that I'm gonna keep working with. Back here, this is like a mass of flowers. They're so ruffled that it sort of looks like, I don't know, they get really ruffled up to the point where they almost don't even look like flowers anymore. This one here is okay. It's got this one here has a different kind of a lighter yellow, but some of these flowers have pretty yellow blooms in the bottom half there, so that might be a keeper. We'll see how that goes along. Some of these, one of the problems that I've been having is they get so many blooms that they just fall over. The pots just fall over, so I'm constantly hearing crashing noises and trying to figure out, and then I'm looking over and 2 or 3 pots are on the floor. So they do have to be continually repotted in order to keep from falling over in their pots. This one here is like a personal favorite of mine. It's pretty spectacular looking. Not only huge size, got some ruffling on the edges, but also look at that insane stained glass looking pattern. So, I mean, there are multiple blooms happening on this thing right now. This is in a small pot too. Imagine a fully developed plant with these gigantic blooms on there. It'd look really cool. So that's sort of the general overview of a few things I pulled out and put in one spot so I could show everyone what I'm working on right now. But I got some pretty cool stuff happening here, so I'll report back in a couple weeks or a couple months if anything else interesting happens here. Okay, bye.